Thursday, and welcome to On the Move with Nan and Kam. And we are joined today by our friend Kirk Millikan. And Kirk is a bike walk champion, as well as just an active guy and a sports backers enthusiast. So, Kirk, welcome. Introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about you and how you got started with your active living journey.
Thanks. It's great to be here today. Like you said, I'm Kirk Millikan. I've been running in the Richmond area basically my whole life. Started with 5Ks in elementary school and have been building up to a lot of marathons recently. Started my marathon journey with Sports Backers Marathon Training Team.
Nice.
And really since then, just been active in the running community and trying to help with safer streets in Richmond too.
Great. Love that. Well, that really ties in well with the real big reason, besides just all of that active living passion, that you're on the pod today, which is you're doing a very unique challenge that you are about to complete. I hope by the time this airs, I think hopefully you will be very close to completing. But tell everybody about the challenge you're currently doing.
Yeah, so the current challenge that I've had a long-term goal on since 2018 has been to run every single street in the city of Richmond. And so the city of Richmond it's a little over 60 square miles. There's about 2,200 unique streets spread out over the city. And so I've had this long-term goal of running each and every street. There's a surprisingly large number of cul-de-sacs in Richmond. I've done a lot of out and back runs toward the end of streets. Really over the last 7 years, 6 or 7 years, seen all of the ins and outs of Richmond run by everyone's house and apartment. And so I have 2 streets remaining out of those 2,200. So it's been a long journey, but it's nice to see it almost done.
I was gonna ask, obviously when you start from running from where you live, you are familiar with the area and you're familiar with the street. But when you do something like this, you have to make it a point to go out of your way to all right, I'm not just gonna wake up and run down my street. I'm gonna wake up and go somewhere else, or in the afternoon, I'm gonna go somewhere else. How has that been since you've been trying to do different runs? Is it difficult?
Yeah, it's definitely been pretty time consuming, and I've had to get kind of creative about how I get to those other parts of Richmond. Initially, especially training for marathons, I kind of had a 5-mile radius of my house over near Maymont, and I could do runs and see new streets from my house. And then I branched out from there, and I would bike maybe 3 or 4 miles and then lock my bike up and then run from there. And then a lot of times after that, once I got even past that radius, then I would drive somewhere, park, and then run from there as well. So there's been a whole lot of planning in place in terms of figuring out where I can park and then planning out the actual routes to ideally cross off the streets as efficiently as possible. But sometimes that hasn't always worked out.
When you were saying Richmond has a lot of cul-de-sacs, do you feel like an out and back counts, or did you feel like you had to run the perimeter little circle of every cul-de-sac?
Oh, I went out. The website that I've been using to track everything is called City Strides, and it pulls in all of your GPS data, and then you can even put it on what they call hard mode. So you have to really get to the end of every single cul-de-sac, and that's what I ended up doing. So I have seen almost every foot of every cul-de-sac. So
man,
yeah,
Yeah.
that is impressive.
What made you want to take on this challenge? What was your motivating, what was motivating you to do this?
Yeah, I guess initially I had heard about this website. I think it was early 2019 was when I first heard about this website where it would pull in all of your historic GPS data. So I've always been interested in statistics and kind of plotting out my runs. And so I uploaded all of my GPS data to this website, and it was interesting seeing where I had run and where I hadn't run. Like I've always lived either in the Fan or Museum District, Carytown, and a lot of my runs were on the same streets in the Fan or on Monument Avenue. And so even then, just seeing neighborhoods that were and streets that were close by that I had never run down before, and so seeing that kind of had some motivation of, especially training for marathons on my own, seeing some new streets and just different neighborhoods on my runs was something that was also a motivating factor for, hey, I'm going to do this long run. It's going to be by myself on Saturday morning in March, but it's still going to be interesting and fun because it's on a street that I've never been to before. And even specifically, like I had never run in the Randolph neighborhood very much. And so that was one of the things that first stuck out to me of, I've run on all the streets of the Fan a bunch of times, but this neighborhood right south of the Fan, I never run through before. That's one of the things that kind of first popped out when I uploaded all of my GPS data. And then from there, just had kind of the long-term goal of checking out different neighborhoods and all the different streets. And so kind of over time, you like see that percentage building up. And I mean, definitely starting out when I uploaded my GPS data originally, it was like I had maybe 15% of Richmond streets that I had just run from training.
That's a good amount.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I definitely had a few years of like marathon training teams, seeing different parts of the city through those runs. And then from there, it was just kind of a motivating way, especially during 2020 and 2021, where runs looked a lot different. There weren't a lot of group runs in 2020, but it was still a good motivator to get out, see different neighborhoods, and get in my long runs that way.
Definitely. What have you discovered about Richmond and about yourself? This is a lot of time running, and it's a lot of time by yourself. Us runners, we think a lot while doing this challenge.
Yeah, I guess what I've discovered about Richmond is that there are so many unique neighborhoods. And I mean, even a neighborhood like Randolph feels and looks different than the Fan that's so close by.
Yeah.
But also, as you get more like towards the periphery of Richmond, there are different neighborhoods that have changed demographically over time, and being able to kind of see how the neighborhoods look and feel. A lot of my runs in different neighborhoods are on the weekends, on the early Saturday, Sunday mornings, and some of those neighborhoods are just starting to wake up and see how people are living in different neighborhoods is very interesting. And I mean, even like from a geographic standpoint, Richmond has really pretty neighborhoods. And I mean, running by the rivers is nice, but there's also a bunch of tree-lined neighborhoods throughout the city, which has been really interesting. And then specifically, kind of the last maybe third of the streets that I had to run, a lot of those were in Southside Richmond. And Southside Richmond historically was Chesterfield County. It's built in a very suburban way, and that was pretty eye-opening and interesting to see how those neighborhoods are set up, how people are living in those neighborhoods, and even kind of the lack of pedestrian infrastructure in those neighborhoods compared to neighborhoods north of the river, where it's easier and safer to be a runner than it is on neighborhoods in South Richmond. I've definitely been able to see and really learn a lot about Richmond just by running through the different neighborhoods, seeing how the infrastructure is set up in different parts of the city. And then I think that's also motivated me to do as much as I can, really, in terms of like being a sports backers bike walk champion.
Yeah.
And then I'm also on the city's Safe and Healthy Streets Commission.
Nice.
And so that commission is really set up to kind of hold city engineers and city leaders accountable for having Richmond streets being as safe as possible. And so I've been able to directly use what I've seen firsthand and apply that on like the Safe and Healthy Streets Commission as well. So that's been great too.
Yeah, that's good. That's you definitely can be like, I've seen firsthand what it looks like to run through this part of Richmond. And I'm sure that when, I mean, you were in certain parts of Richmond, you were like, oh, wow, this is great. I mean, nobody thought twice of you running by. And then I'm sure some parts that you were in where there's not much pedestrian, like anything going on over there, people were probably like, is that guy running? Because most people, like, I don't know, there's definitely when you get in the fan and museum district around here, you see people running all the time.
Yeah.
But I feel like once you get to other sides, like parts of Richmond, it's you just don't see it as often because there's not as many sidewalks,
Right.
not as many like crosswalks for people to be able to do that. So yeah, you have seen firsthand. Now you can bring that info back and be like, this is what it actually is like running there.
Right,
is there
for sure.
anything that you'll miss about doing this challenge, or do you plan to still run in different parts of the city when it's over?
I mean, I think I am going to miss just in terms of like planning out long runs. Like I feel like I always have like a next marathon. I'm always have a next long run in mind. And so for the past 6 years or so, I've always had an option, I guess, for like, or like as like a motivating factor, like I can check out this new neighborhood. I've never been there. It's going to be an interesting route, regardless of how the actual run feels. And so I think I'll miss that aspect of it. There's definitely some neighborhoods that they are not pedestrian friendly.
Right.
And those neighborhoods I probably won't be going back to, but there's definitely other parts that are interesting and that are safe for pedestrians, and that I'll be more likely to run those neighborhoods, or even if I'm on a long run. Sometimes when I'm on a run, I might not have a specific route planned out, but maybe I'll turn right going through that neighborhood because I know there's some nice streets with sidewalks and big trees for shade that otherwise I might have skipped that neighborhood. So there's definitely aspects of it that I'll miss, and then hopefully I'll be able to kind of utilize information that I've learned and improve some of my runs in the future.
I feel like that's always a good feeling, is like once you try a new spot out,
Yeah.
to like running or walking, you're like, actually, I really like that place. And now you're like, now I have a new place in my mind that if I want to switch it up, I can go there.
Yeah. Well, also even, I mean, I know you're doing, marathon training a lot. And so that even you get so tired of the same routes that you've done. So this has probably just unlocked a whole new expertise of different areas that you can run to and enjoy, so that you're not fatigued of the same sites all the time.
Right, for sure. Yeah, no, I mean, that is something with marathon training. Some of the long runs do get boring. And so, yeah, being able to go into different neighborhoods definitely just helps change up the monotony of long runs. So that would be nice for sure.
What's been the hardest part? We touched a little bit on like having to drive places or think about, where you're going. And that seemed kind of difficult, but is there anything that was maybe just hard that you weren't expecting to be difficult?
I mean, I think the hardest part was definitely the logistics. And so like I spent more time planning my long runs than actually running them. And so I had a different app that I would plan out the actual routes of the runs, trying to make the routes as efficient as possible. It's really easy in like the fan and downtown when everything's a grid, but there's most neighborhoods, especially in like South Richmond, that the neighborhoods were designed from a suburban county standpoint, those neighborhoods are not grids. And so it's really kind of confusing figuring out the most efficient way. And so that those logistics took up a lot of time. And then also figuring out where to park. I think I've probably parked at every public school in Richmond just on like a Saturday or Sunday morning, like parked in their parking lot, planned out runs from those schools. And so all of that was pretty challenging. And then, I think something that's important to mention and is that, like, as a white male runner, there's a level of privilege and safety that
Yeah.
I definitely have running through Richmond. And so I've had to be mindful of safety to an extent too. I mean, most of my runs early on Saturday, Sunday mornings, in different neighborhoods, even a neighborhood that I'm not really familiar with. As a white male runner, there's an inherent level of safety kind of built into that.
Yeah.
And so I've been trying to keep mindful of the simple privilege that I have running through different parts of Richmond. And so I think that's an important aspect too, where there's times of day, there's neighborhoods that just as a solo runner, I've felt safer than other folks. And
Yeah.
I mean, that's a reality for a lot of runners.
Yeah, I would think that, like, not everybody, I mean, this is a hard thing that you're doing, but not everybody would feel comfortable doing something like that and running through different parts of Richmond. So, yeah, I'm glad that you were able to take something this cool, like, and get it done. But I also, like, I'm glad that you appreciate the fact that you know that, like, it's not something that everybody
Yeah.
can do. Um,
Right.
but yeah, that's super cool. Um,
I sort of previewed. I've had a call with Kirk before this, so I sort of
Mhm.
previewed this next aspect for Cameron, but I don't think I told it correctly, and you tell it much better. So,
so Nan was telling me about, like you said, your final two streets are coming up. So, and how are you planning around those final streets? What made you choose those streets as your final landing place for the challenge? And what's the family tie in there?
Yeah. So the last street that I have is in kind of in the far southeastern corner of Richmond, and it's called Coles Street, Coles Street. And initially, I hadn't really been eyeing one last street until I had maybe about 50 streets left, and I was able to look on the list and see if anything stuck out to me. And then Coles Street definitely really popped out as this is the street that I should be having as my very last street out of all of the 2,200. This is a perfect street to end on. And the street itself is only about 3 blocks long. It's in a residential area. It's the street itself. There's nothing really abnormal about it, but the name is what really sticks out to me. And so my grandmother had 2 first cousins whose last name was Cole, and they were killed during World War II. And both of the 2 brothers were born and raised in Richmond, and their names are on the Virginia War Memorial in the World War II section under City of Richmond. And so having having this last Cole Street reflecting their last name, and both of them are buried in Luxembourg. And I was lucky enough to visit their graves back in 2018 or 2019 when I ran the Berlin Marathon. I did some traveling and I visited their graves, and really having that family connection to the last street has been really powerful and really interesting. So even kind of since 2019, I've done more family research on the Cole brothers, and they both went to high school in Richmond. One of them was a standout football player and was in the Richmond Times on. He was a football player at Benedictine, and he ended up, I think, going straight from high school and then enlisted in the military, and kind of gave up any like future football career he might have had for college, and really felt the need to join the military and uh, like really represent Richmond too. And so having that as my last street has been even a motivator just to kind of get to the end of the challenge. And yeah, I'm definitely excited to have this as the last street, and then I think we'll end up having maybe a short group run and then an actual like kind of fun finish line celebrating the end of the challenge.
Yeah, we're definitely, and we'll get details about that up for everybody as that comes to fruition. But yeah, we're trying to celebrate Kirk hard because this is quite the accomplishment and a multi-year accomplishment at that. That's big time.
Right. That is a pretty long time to be like, oh, I've been just over the past like 7 years. Like that's a long time.
Yeah. Do you feel like do you have any pressure on yourself to have a new challenge after this, or are you just like keeping it chill for a little bit?
I did my one challenge.
Yeah. I mean, I've definitely thought about like other cities, even like small areas that you might not think of a city, like Lakeside on the website that I use. It includes Lakeside as all, like maybe there's a couple hundred streets in Lakeside compared to 2,200 in Richmond, but like I could run every street in Lakeside if I wanted to. But I think I'll probably mostly stick to Richmond streets, my neighborhood streets. The next kind of long-term challenge that I'm working towards is running a marathon in every state. And so
love that.
I've, from just talking to other runners, it seems that's become more of a goal for a lot of people. It's a good excuse to travel.
Yes.
And I do really enjoy traveling. And I think that's kind of been one of the motivating factors for running every street in Richmond, just being able to travel locally and see different neighborhoods, get to experience different neighborhoods is similar to traveling a lot farther and seeing different cities, different neighborhoods. And so this other challenge of running a marathon in every state is a cool opportunity and a cool excuse to do more traveling. So right now I've done 18 states.
Nice.
And I have a couple more this spring and then a few more probably in the fall. So another long-term challenge that will like help keep me motivated for continuing to do long runs and kind of stay in marathon shape.
Yeah, that's inspiring. That's a huge challenge. Yeah. A lot of miles.
Yeah.
Well, now this is maybe the hard part of the podcast. We do 3 rapid fire this or that questions. So are you ready for your this or that?
Sure. Yeah.
Great.
Let's go.
You had your first one,
I had my,
so you
I had
go
one
for
pick
it.
out. Because I asked Brantley this before. So you're a bike walk champion. Do you prefer biking or walking / running? Because as a bike walk champion, you would think bike, but you're doing this running challenge. So I wanted to know.
Yeah, I think if I had to choose, I would say walking and running. There is an aspect of really just slowing down. You get more of a feel of a neighborhood and of the environment that you're moving through. I definitely enjoy biking. I either bike or take the bus to work every day. And so I've kind of seen Richmond from a biking perspective, at least a couple neighborhoods. But if I had to choose, I would definitely choose walking or running.
Okay.
Nice. So when you're doing all your running challenges, you've done 2 very different types of perspectives because you said you've done this majority of this challenge alone, this Richmond running street, but then you're on MTT. which is the opposite of alone time. That
Right.
is just a huge camaraderie, love of the group. So which method do you prefer? Which type of run?
I think I would choose solo runs. There is just sometimes I like to sleep in, and MTT does
Heard
not
that.
always afford the opportunity. But with sleeping in, then sometimes I immediately regret when the temperature's warming up on a sunny summer day.
Yes.
Then I wish I had started an hour earlier. But there's a little more inherent flexibility running solo. And I have enjoyed, I think I've done MTT 4 years now, and I've enjoyed those summer group runs. And I definitely, like, anytime I meet someone in Richmond and they're like, I'm thinking about running my first marathon, I'm like, you have to join MTT. It's such a great environment for training for especially your first marathon.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of repeat participants. I've enjoyed the other years that I've done it. So there's definitely value and fun in group runs. And the big thing about group runs also is just it holds you accountable. You know that there's going to be other people there. But I think just the flexibility in solo runs probably has just a little bit of an edge for me.
Nice. I'm the queen of I'm gonna get up and do it by myself, and then like I'm gonna pass out on my afternoon summer run. So heard that.
Yeah.
For your last dish of that, obviously you've seen some things running through every street in Richmond. So if it's dinner time, are you more likely to pick a place that you saw on a run that you didn't, like a new spot that you found while on a run? Or are you more likely to stick to the places that you know?
I think I'm more likely to probably stick to places that I know. I'm more the type of person that goes into like Google Maps and like I'm vegetarian, so I'll just type in vegetarian into Google Maps, and then it'll pop up like different restaurants, and I can see some of them I haven't tried, and I might go from there. One thing about these runs, obviously after a long run, I know a lot of people are super hungry and just ready to eat. And I've, by driving out to different neighborhoods that some parts of Richmond are like a 20-minute drive still within city limits, like from my house, kind of, which is kind of in the center of Richmond. And so I might not go to this restaurant if I hadn't driven there for a run. And so sometimes right after a run, I might stop at a restaurant, pick up some food, and then back home, I'll be able to have that big post-run meal.
That could really be motivating me right here to just to hit some new neighborhoods. If I get to do that,
you're like, well, since I'm over here,
yeah, love nothing more than a Yelp search or a look at a menu before I go. So that's a benefit of the running all the streets in Richmond I didn't think about.
For sure, yeah.
Well, nice. Thank you so much today for talking to us about the challenge, Kirk. It's very inspiring. And I think that everybody, it's definitely motivates people to get out of their normal routine and do something a little bit different, because you never know what you're going to uncover and what you're going to find out about a place that you've lived in for years and years. So it's really cool. Congrats.
For sure. Thanks. Yeah. And I mean, it's been so interesting and so valuable seeing all the different areas of Richmond. So, just thanks a lot for having me on today, and I appreciate the opportunity.
And we can't wait to cheer you on at the finish of the final run. That'll be awesome.
For sure. Looking forward to it.
Thanks. Have a great day. Thanks, everybody. See you next time.
See ya.